The book that I chose to read for this project was Writing with Passion by Tom Romano. What is Writing with Passion about? Professor of English and former high school English teacher Tom Romano wrote his book Writing with Passion about his personal experiences as a teacher. According to Romano, his primary way of knowing the world comes through narrative thinking. All the experiences that he has cultivated over the years have led him to experience teaching literature and writing in a new way. At the core of his experiences lies his passion. Romano remarks about how his passion for literacy has shaped who he is as a student and a teacher. Throughout Writing with Passion, Romano encourages teachers to delve into their own passions and look at teaching literacy in new, innovative ways. He urges us to explore our own resistances within our content areas and reflect about how those resistances affect the environment of our classrooms. Along with that, Romano also encourages teachers to bring creativity back to literacy, look for non-traditional ways to express creativity, and to let student voices shine through our classrooms. Exploring resistances in reading and writing. One aspect that Romano stresses in his book is being able to explore our resistances to our own literacies. These resistances being what hold us as teachers back from exploring certain topics with our students or using certain teaching strategies that may be unfamiliar or foreign to us. Romano believes that exploring our resistances in reading, however foolish or inconsequential they may seem, can drive forward our thinking, broaden our interpretations. Romano shares a story about how his teacher's manual was the core element of his teaching. He relied heavily on this manual, so much so that he stated it was even more important to him than the literature that existed inside it. Through this manual, he taught literature in a way that undermined students' knowledge, and when asked a question about the content they were learning, Romano didn't have the answers because he didn't understand what he was teaching. He hated this unauthentic feeling. He was so inspired to explore why he was scared to teach without the manual. He realized he was scared to take the risk, and this was not something that he wanted to model for his students. He wanted his classroom to be an environment that promotes and supports risk-taking, and he believes that the way teachers approach literacy is a determiner of that environment. So, what are some resistances to teaching English that you have at the moment? And is there anything that you are nervous to teach? Why? It is important for teachers to understand that they don't have to teach by a manual. It's okay to take risks and to change up the curriculum if the students are not understanding the content that you are teaching. We are all going into English education because we are passionate about the content, and it's important to let that passion shine through, even though we may be scared to approach certain skills or topics. Student voice through alternative styles. We have learned from O'Brien, Kittle, and Gallagher how important it is to encourage students to share their voices through their writing. All three of the authors that we have been reading in our education classes discuss providing students with prompts that encourage, not limit, their individual voices through their writing. Romano stresses the same concept throughout his book. He notes that as students continue through their schooling, the writing that they are required to do becomes less creative and more academic. One of the main points that Romano stresses in his book is teaching student voice through alternative creative styles. He discusses the use of Grammar B in the classroom. Grammar B encourages students to take risks with their writing by bending the rules of traditional English. One of the styles that Romano places a great focus on is the crot. Crots are bits or fragments of writing. They are a basic element in the alternate grammar of style, comparable to the stanza in poetry. When assembled, crots resemble a slideshow of random thoughts and phrases. Teaching alternative styles allows students to write with purpose and really discover their voice because they aren't hampered by the grammatical rules of standard English. Encouraging students to discover their voice is such an important aspect of being an English teacher. Allowing students to discover their voice through their own writing can also encourage them to voice their opinions in classroom discussions. So, how many of you have ever felt scared to share an answer or contribute to a discussion? Why? What made you feel scared? Was it the teacher, the students, or the classroom environment in general? In this book, Romano discusses the importance of accepting students' responses to literature and how your acceptance of those responses has the power to change the entire environment of the classroom. When a student contributes a response to a question and a teacher shuts their response down by saying no or that's incorrect, the students may not feel comfortable contributing to that class anymore, thus losing their voice. Romano wants teachers to understand that when it comes to English, there are no wrong answers. We should never shut a student's response down. If we are confused about the student's meaning, we should always have them explain their meaning to the class. Giving students a chance to explain their answers instead of shutting them down can drastically increase the morale of the classroom. It gives students a safe space to find their voice. The Multigenre Research Project. A large portion of Writing with Passion focuses on the alternative way to teach a research project through multiple genres. Romano's multi-genre research project is entirely student-oriented and an interest-based form of learning. Romano doesn't believe that the best way to teach English is in the traditional way with essays and papers. He wants students to access their creativity and use it to inspire a passion within their own writing and learning. Research-based skills are a topic that all English teachers have to cover. There is no way around it. I know as a student I would hear the term research paper and immediately start to cry internally. Let's face it, most assigned research papers are boring to write and they feel like a daunting task. Romano recognizes this and he offers teachers a new perspective on assigning research papers that will bring creativity back to research. He suggests that instead of assigning a paper, teachers assign writing genres. These genres can consist of all different forms of writing and skills, from crafts discussed in the previous slides to poetry and song lyrics. To begin this journey, Romano notes that it is essential that students have the freedom to choose their own research topic. This will ensure that they can fully engage with the material that they will be researching. Throughout the students' research, they are required to keep a learning journal where they are tasked with writing 1,000 words about what they researched during that week. At the end of the research unit, the students each share their research. This gives them a chance to explain their genre work and why they chose the genres that they did for their project. One of the issues that Romano found with this project is teachers' tendencies to suppress student voices in their genres due to language issues. When giving students free reins to research and write whatever they want, it can come with some issues. Throughout the book, Romano stresses the importance of not limiting student voice. So he had a really hard time with the dilemma of allowing students to publish swear words in school assignments. He struggled with appropriateness of pedagogy and his responsibility to allow students to express themselves in their writing. He decided, as a language arts teacher, my responsibility is not to censor, but rather to discuss the language people use and the diverse topics they write about. During his multi-genre research project, one of his students chose to research Marilyn Monroe. The student chose to write in stream of consciousness from Marilyn Monroe's perspective. The students wrote, I haven't effed my way up to the top. I've effed my way to your heart. You love me for my sex, and why you like it, I don't know. Romano struggled with this because in the context, the F word seemed appropriate. He chose to allow the student to keep the word in her paper that she turned in to be graded, but they found a synonym to replace the word in the version published in the school paper. This student showed a great passion for her writing, and Romano didn't want to suppress her passion by limiting her voice. To wrap it up, Romano's main concept that he wants readers to take away from this novel is to let our passion for English flow into and inspire our teaching. We need to reflect on the areas of our content that we are not comfortable with and address our issues so we can provide students with the best education that we can. We can do this through delving into our creativity and providing our students with interest-based learning that promotes students' exploration of their own voices. So, I want each of you to just think about your passions and how you can use what you are passionate about to inspire your students.